When Abba Arsenius was living at Canopus, a very rich and God-fearing virgin of senatorial rank came from Rome to see him. When the Archbishop Theophilus met her, she asked him to persuade the old man to receive her. So he went to ask him to do in these words: "A certain person of senatorial rank has come from Rome and wishes to see you." The old man refused to meet her. But when the archbishop told the young girl this, she ordered the beast of burden to be saddled, saying, "I trust in God that I shall see him, for it is not a man whom I have come to see. There are plenty of those in our town, but a prophet." When she had reached the old man's cell, by a dispensation of God, he was outside it. Seeing him, she withdrew herself at his feet. Seeing him, she threw herself at his feet. Outraged, he lifted her up again and said, looking steadily at her, "If you must see my face, here it is. Look." She was covered with shame and did not look at his face. Then the old man said to her, "Have you not heard tell of my way of life? It ought to be respected. How dare you make such a journey? Do you not realize you are a woman and cannot go just anywhere? Or is it so that our returning to Rome you can say to other women, 'I have seen Arsenius'? Then they will turn to sea into a thoroughfare with women coming to see me." She said, "May it please the Lord, I shall not let anyone come here, but pray for me and remember me always." But he answered her, "I pray God to remove remembrance of you from my heart." Overcome at hearing these words, she withdrew. When she had returned to the town, in her grief she fell ill with a fever, and blessed Archbishop Theophilus was informed that she was ill. He came to see her and asked her to tell him what was the matter. She said to him, "If only I had not gone there, for I asked the old man to remember me. He said to me, 'I pray God to take the remembrance of you from my heart.' So now I am dying of grief." The archbishop said to her, "Do you not realize that you are a woman, and that it is through woman that the enemy wars against the saints? That is the explanation of the old man's words. But as for your soul, he will pray for it continually." At this, her spirit was healed, and she returned home joyfully. Abba David related this about Abba Arsenius. One day a magistrate came, bringing him the will of a senator, a member of his family who had left him a very large inheritance. Arsenius took it and was about to destroy it. But the magistrate threw himself at his feet, saying, "I beg you, do not destroy it, or they will cut off my head." Abba Arsenius said to him, "But I was dead long before this senator who has just died." And he returned the will to him without accepting anything. But I was dead long before this senator who has just died. And he returned the will to him without accepting anything. It was also said of him that on Saturday evenings, preparing for the glory of Sunday, he would turn his back on the sun and stretch out his hands in prayer towards the heavens, till once again the sun shone on his face. Then he would sit down. It was said of Abba Arsenius and Abba Theodore affirmed that, more than any of the others, they hated the esteem of other men. Abba Arsenius would not readily meet people, while Abba Theodore was like a steel when he met anyone. In the days when Abba Arsenius was living in Lower Egypt, he has continually interrupted there, and so he was. In the days when Abba Arsenius was living in Lower Egypt, he was continually interrupted there, and so he judged it right to leave his cell. Without taking anything away with him, he went to his disciple at Pharan, Alexander and Zoilus. He said to Alexander, "Get up and get into the boat," which he did. And he said to Zoilus, "Come with me as far as the river and find me a boat which will take me to Alexandria. Then embark, so as to rejoin your brother." Zoilus was troubled by these words, but he said nothing. So they parted company. The old man went down to the regions of Alexandria, where he fell seriously ill. His disciples said to each other, "Perhaps one of us has annoyed the old man, and that is the reason why he has gone away from us." But they found nothing with which to reproach themselves, nor any disobedience. Once he was better, the old man said, "I will return to my fathers." Going upstream again, he came to Petra, where his disciples were. While he was close to the river, a little Ethiopian slave girl came and touched his sheepskin. The old man rebuked her, and she replied, "If you are a monk, go to the mountain." Alexander and Zoilus met him there. Then when they threw themselves at his feet, the old man fell down with them also, and they wept together. The old man said to them, "Did you not hear that I was ill?" They answered, "Yes." "Then," he continued, "why did you not come to see me?" Abba Alexander said, "Your going from us has not been good for us, and many have not been edified by it, saying, if they had not disobeyed the old man, he would not have left them." Abba Arsenius said, "On the other hand, they will now be saying, 'The dove, not finding anywhere to rest, returned to Noah and the ark.'" So they were comforted and remained with them till his death. So they were confronted and remained with them till his death. Abba David said, "Abba Arsenius told us the following as though it referred to someone else, but in fact it referred to himself. An old man was sitting in his cell, and a voice came to him which said, 'Come, and I will show you the works of man.' He got up and followed. The voice led him to a certain place and showed him an Ethiopian cutting wood and making a great pile. He struggled to carry it, but in vain. But instead of taking some off, he cut more wood, which he added to the pile. He did this for a long time. Going on a little further, the old man was shown a man standing on the shore of a lake, drawing up water and pouring it into a broken receptacle, so that the water ran back into the lake. Then the voice said to the old man, "Come, and I will show you something else." He saw a temple of two men on horseback, opposite one another, carrying a piece of wood crosswise. They wanted to go in through the door, but could not because they held their piece of wood crosswise. Neither of them would draw back before the other, so as to carry the wood straight. So they remained outside the door. The voice said to the old man, "These men carry the yoke of righteousness with pride, and do not humble themselves so as to remain outside the kingdom of God. These men carry the yoke of righteousness with pride, and do not humble themselves so as to correct themselves and walk in the humble way of Christ. So they remain outside the kingdom of God. The man cutting the wood is he who lives in many sins, and instead repenting, he adds more fault to his sins. The man cutting the wood is he who lives in many sins, and instead of repenting, he adds more fault to his sins. He who draws the water is he who does good deeds, but mixing bad ones with them, he spoils even his good works. So everyone must be watchful of his actions, lest he labor in vain.